Ooh-wee. My ninjas. I hope y'all are doing well, man. Um, I'm blessed as always. Another day. This is actually going to be a part two of a video I already made, which was the game of life, the juggling act. And that video was already kind of running a little long, but there was a few extra key points that I thought were required. And, like you can't talk about the game of life without talking about these next couple points that I'm gonna be bringing up. So I'm gonna actually just jump right into this one. The first one is going to be understanding the balance of being selfish and selfless, because there's a time and a place for both of those through life, and if you end up leaning towards one more than the other, it can be a lot of problems. So to avoid rambling and giving too much of my own personal stories, because I can do that when it's something I'm passionate about, a good frame of reference for this is certain things in your personal life. So, like your religion, your relationship status, your preferences with just certain things. Um, you should absolutely be selfish with that. We get one life, so you shouldn't. If it's not harming anybody and it's your truth, then you should live it. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be on your deathbed regretting and talking about coulda, shoulda, woulda, and blaming people. Um, like you get one life, so there's certain things like that you should be selfish with, but then also there's certain times that you need to be selfless, like with loved ones, whether it be family or friends. Maybe if it's a stranger who's asking you for help, or if it's just kind of like giving back to the community or to the world in some type of way. I'm not going to throw the Bible at anybody, but when Jesus was asked, what are the two greatest commandments? He said to love God with all of your heart, and to love your brother like you love yourself. And also, I think it's the golden rule, which is treat others like you want to be treated, essentially. But I don't think that always has to be. It doesn't have to always be in a direct way, like monetarily or something like that. I feel like right now I'm treating my brothers the way I would want to be treated by even sharing this information, because I'm 27, about to be 28 this next month. And if I would have had this information 4 or 5 years ago, man, I can't even imagine. So I feel like by me taking the last several years of my life and being able to condense it down in a few minutes and share this game, um, I think that is part of me giving back alongside other things that I'm going to be doing. But my point is, you need to have the balance of being selfish and selfless, because I personally have been on both ends of the spectrum. So there was a point in time where I really struggled with like I don't want to say self-image, but I just didn't love myself properly for a long time. Not only was I not taught this, but also just for a number of other outside circumstances, I just was um, lost in the sauce of life a little bit. And to just make a long story short, I did not fully love myself for real until I'd say I was like 20, into my early 20s, man. Like 2021 was when I really started, like, not that I wasn't just like disrespecting myself or not, but I was just like so selfless, and I put everybody else up here and put myself down. Like, I don't know, it was just a whole toxic thing, and it had also stuff to do with my skin. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to go too far off the deep end, but it's just like with certain elements of my culture and just like how I am. and there was just a certain point of time where I felt like Earl Sweatshirt said in a song that he was too um, black for the white kids and too white for the blacks or something like that. But like that was my life for a long time, and just for multiple reasons, I didn't love myself. But over time, it actually ended up once I did start loving myself and I did start having a healthy amount of ego, it ended up going to the other side where I was like too selfish for a period of time. And that can also just be a negative thing. It can be a positive thing for you to make monetary strides and make certain things happen in your life. And I think that, especially as a man here in America, in the way that we are kind of trained and taught, um, which is a good thing because as a man, you are supposed to protect and provide, and we have certain roles as a man that we are supposed to fulfill. But I just feel like certain people can lean if they don't have enough brain power to do critical, deep thinking for themselves. They can get lost in the sauce and they can be too damn selfless. And that's when you become a simp, a pushover, and a nice guy, which is, we all know is not the way. And not even just with it, when it comes to women or anything like that, but just like in life, you end up if you have your heart out here like this, unfortunately, with just the way the world is, you end up getting screwed over. So you have to have a good balance of those two things. And next, I would say you need to, the second point is you need to have a good understanding of and be able to also balance the time frames or the lenses of the past, the present, and the future. Now, what I mean by that is after you've lived enough life, a lot of people will get into the habit of either, if you're a bit ambitious person, you'll have the tendency to kind of like live out of the future because you're thinking about where you're going, what you're going to be doing. And the negative side of that, because that can be a positive thing, but the negative side of that can be you end up getting discouraged and like frustrated because you're not there. And then a lot of people who are more maybe pessimistic or maybe just are focused on other things can be focusing on the past, which I've done both. I've been on both sides of the coin. And the problem with being just focusing too much on the past, depending on actually whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that you're thinking about in the past, is something in the past. So it's like you're either reminiscing on good times that you no longer have, or you're reminiscing on some type of loss and kind of like maybe repeatedly beating yourself up about the thing, which either way is not healthy. And then the present, which is, you know, a gift, a blessing. Um, I guess the negative sometimes is that we're kind of we have to face head on whatever situation that we may not like at the moment. So I think a good thing that I like to think about with this is um, being inspired by the future. We should be inspired by the future. We should be fueled by the past, and we should be locked in and grateful for the present. And the present is where the process is. So Brandon Carter has videos where he's talking about this, but essentially you want to make sure that you're focusing on the process and not the goal, because you can get discouraged if you're focusing too much on the goal because you're not there and it may take you some time to get there. So another thing that you need to understand with this is that all, not only humans but living things, are either moving towards pleasure or away from pain, basically with anything that we're doing. So if you understand that we're either moving towards pleasure or away from pain, and you have a healthy balance and with the three, I guess we can call them lenses of time, Because like you're seeing it through like a colored lens almost when you're looking at something at the past, from the past. You're kind of seeing things with hindsight, and then when you're seeing things like in the future, you're just seeing it from different lenses. So you need to understand that again, we should be inspired by the future, fueled by the past, and locked in and grateful on the present. And then I'd say the last thing that I want to bring up is actually something that my boy Soul Immortal talked about in one of his recent videos. He was just talking about how you need to stay like locked in and single. Definitely go check that out. That is a golden video. But anyway, in that video, he talked about this third point, which is you need to, in the game of life and life in general, you need to have a destination, a vehicle, and fuel. Now, literally, if I'm here in Colorado where I am now and I'm trying to get to Florida, I need, or anywhere, I need to first know where I'm going. So let's say I'm trying to get to Florida or anywhere. Now I need a vehicle to get there, and then I need the fuel to fuel the vehicle. But in life, obviously, I'm sure you're smart enough to understand where this is going. In life, you need the destination, which is like where you want to go. So, really briefly, I hear a lot of people like, or see a lot of people in comments, whether it's on videos that I watch or just on certain posts, where they'll kind of ask, how do I find my purpose? Now, I can't give you like a solid, concrete answer for that, but I do want to give you some food for thought, and my thoughts, my perspective on it. So, if you're an anime fan, you probably know about the show Death Note. So in Death Note, for people who don't know what that is, the premise of it is this guy finds a book and he's essentially able to write down people's names and like how they die, and it happens in real life. Now, imagine for a moment that you found something that was the invert of that, which is like a life note. I know this is cheesy, but follow me. So let's say in the life note, you can write anything, and as long as it's not harming or doing anything bad towards anyone else, you can write it and it'll come true. So theoretically, you could write like whatever type of lifestyle you want, and it'll come true. You want a mansion, you want a XYZ car, you want this type of relationship, you want to live in a certain place. Whatever you write, it'll come true. If you did some deep thought on that for a moment, and just again, this is the life note. So what your cousin and your mama and every opinion that you've had on your brain for your whole life on why you can or can't do anything, none of that is relevant right now. You could do whatever you write in the book. What would you write? Like, what type of lifestyle would you live? And like, what things would you be doing? If you think about that and think about it in the realms of reality. So for example, with me, if I was to give an example of what I would write in there, one of my goals is to be a very successful music artist. I play guitar, I sing, I write. I actually, I've just been doing music for a long time. I've been a fan of it. I love music. Like, I feel like music is really my purpose, my passion. That's really what I'm put here to do, is music. So, in that note, I would write down basically, and actually in here have like that actually written down to the T, like what that looks like. But that should be your North Star. That should kind of be what your purpose is, especially if it's like a thing that's unique to you, because I do believe that every person is given their unique God-given talents, abilities, skills, and I feel like that should be what your purpose is or your destination is. So you need a destination, you need a vehicle, which is like a means or a thing that can get you there. For me personally, that is going to be sales. Here soon, that's going to be trading. That's the actual thing that can fund me investing in the music and doing the things that I'm trying to do. And then the fuel is the why. So, but also to add to what Soul said in his video, I would say it's not only your why, but also your work ethic. So the vehicle, meaning like the sales, the trading, whatever business idea or thing you want to give back to get where you're trying to go, you're gonna have to put in consistent work on that thing for a while. It's not gonna just be like a one-time thing. So the fuel is not only your why, but also the work that you're gonna have to put in. And if I had to throw an honorable mention, I'm gonna make another video on this, but I would also say mental fortitude or self-control, which is I'm about to make a video on that, but mental fortitude and self-control is an honorable mention as well. You need to be able to kind of control yourself while you're doing all of this. But yeah, man, I think that's really it. I want to make sure that I'm not rambling too long and I'm being precise as possible. But if you, this is all stuff that I've learned over the last 5, 8+ years, and again, I'm condensing it down, because it's the game of life. So to condense it into like 30+ minutes is, I actually gotta pat myself on the back a little bit. But I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Please drop a comment below, and I'll see y'all on the next video.